Today we're looking at a Ford Fiesta 1 litre Ecoboost. Craig has been servicing his vehicle now for the last 8 years, regularly on time, oil changes and all the rest of the parts that need to be done during those services. He's since identified that the vehicle's coming up to a timing belt replacement, so we bought with us today the full timing belt kit. We've also bought the auxiliary belt and the auxiliary belt tensioners.
To get the correct manufacturer spec tooling can be pricey to start with. So if you're not doing them on a regular basis, your first job is going to cost the garage a fair amount of money on the tooling, but then you can recuperate when you get them more in to do. But yeah, it is a profitable job to do because they are coming up to all near 10 years old now. This engine is very popular at the moment. It's fitted in Fiestas, Focuses, Transit Connects, Transit Couriers, etc.
When we talk to garages often ask us why we produce a belt that works in oil. Well, this isn't any ordinary belt. This is the belt that we provide for the OE manufacturers, made by Dayco. So this is the aftermarket belt. Again, produced by us in the same factories. It has a different label on it, Dayco with the aftermarket number, but they are the same belt. The Ford 1 litre Ecoboost engine also has a smaller belt at the bottom of the engine that drives the oil pump. We're also going to be replacing that as well. Also manufactured by Dayco, OE, and also supplied in the aftermarket.
The timing pin location is on the back. You have to remove the drive shaft bracket to access that. It's a very common location on all Ford engines. Then you make sure you use the right tools to time it up. Make sure you use the flywheel locking tool so you can lock the flywheel so you can undo the crankshaft bolt. Once the rocker cover is removed, then you can use the camshaft locking tools to lock the camshafts so they're in the correct position because it is an interference engine. So if the timing did go out and you put it back together wrong, you would damage the engine. Yes, when you strip things down, it's worth checking them before you take them apart, like checking the water pump, there's no play in it, check the idlers, there's no play in it or noisy. When you take the rocker cover off, make sure there's no damage to the rocker cover. Or the injector seals, stuff like that.
When replacing the timing belt in this vehicle, we also checked the oil pressure solenoid too. That was particularly clean without any problems, so we carried on to reuse that. We also checked the oil pump in this particular vehicle. That was clean, that was tidy, no problems there at all as well, okay? But in some cases, as with this oil pump, you can often find a build-up of debris inside the pickup. If you see that debris inside there, it's always a good idea to change the oil pump. When removing your belt from the belt in oil system and you're examining the belt, you might find that the existing belt, the OE belt, could be slightly wider than the one you're installing. We call that belt swell. Quite usual, nothing to worry about. As long as you use the correct belt for that vehicle, everything should be fine. Because we've changed the timing belt system, we had to remove the auxiliary system. So we replaced the auxiliary system too. It's also important to make sure you change the water pump, being as you've got to remove it. Don't forget to prime it, it's important. If the engine runs dry and the seal inside isn't covered with a lubricant, it will burnish and become damaged.
When you refit the timing cover, it's very important to refit with a new sealer so it's all nice and clean surfaces. And then when you torque the timing cover up, there's a correct sequence. And make sure you torque them up to the correct, because if you don't, they can distort and either get water leaks or you can get oil leaks. It's very important to change the oil and use the right manufacturer's grade oil and specification. If you don't change it, you can get the hydrocarbons from the unburnt petrol in the oil that can contaminate the belt.